What up, Whiskey Ginger fans? Welcome back to the show. If it's your first time joining the show, welcome to the show, man. We got a good one for you today. Like my man Steve Harvey done say, it's Big J Oakerson. It's the Big J. Go check out a special out right now on YouTube. It's in the description below, so go check it out. Check out the Big J in all of his glory, his new special out right now. Also, come see me and Bobo live. Me and the Bob are on tour right now. Go to badfriendspod.com, badfriendspod.com to see us on the road. We're going to be going to Oklahoma City, Louisville. We're going to be going to Charlotte and Durham, and Indianapolis and Detroit. We're doing Philly. We are everywhere. We're doing 4 dates in Florida, 4 cities in Texas. We're going all over the map. Portland, Seattle, Spokane, and Nashville on 420, Nashville, Tennessee on 420, baby. Come see me, Nashville 420. Go to badfriendspod.com for those tickets. Enough rambling from me. Let's go to the episode.
In here, we pour whiskey, 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 whiskey.
You were that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.
You owe me $5 for the whiskey and $75 for the horse.
Gingers? Oh, hell no.
This whiskey is excellent.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Whiskey Ginger. My guest today is one of my favorite people on earth. I say that for all my guests, but I mean it once again today. It's Big J. First time that's ever rhymed in all
What's
this
up?
shit.
Hell yeah.
First time ever.
I'll take
Cheers. You got
Cheers.
some sweet sauce there. I poured a little bit more than I should have for you, but
It's okay.
whatever. And a couple of DCs. You see that guy online? Kujin, that kid from New York?
No.
There's a kid online. I think he's a TikTok guy or but anyway, he does like it doesn't matter. Video shorts now. But he's like an Italian guy. He's like tall, and he talks about drinking DCs every morning, like the way he does it. But he's
DCs.
yeah, and he talks about, hey, how you doing? How's your sister? A couple of DCs get me going. He's very dude. The New York has made characters out of people that are just regular personalities.
Oh, yeah.
Like it inflates just a normal personality.
Oh, because the middle of the country can't believe that's a real person.
Right.
You gotta go over here for the best sandwich. You're like, oh, I thought that was like a Dice character.
Yeah, dude. No, it is funny that we've embraced these people on the internet faction as they become like larger than life characters, even though that's who that kid has been since he was born.
Well, it's like Bagel Boss guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like it is funny when they roll with like nobody understands moment in time, like with low like talent.
Yeah.
Like if you get famous for like infamy for like a dumb thing like that,
Right.
it's like that Bagel Boss guy's life is worse now than it was before he got popular.
Yeah.
Because now these
Yeah.
people go, it's like, you didn't do anything. You were like nationally famous, and that's it, huh? You didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, but cool. Well, because it didn't exist. It was just a moment in time of a funny small bit. The only way that those
The
things,
Hatchet Hitchhiker made the most of his moment.
bro, smash.
Smash.
I watched that on the plane.
Smash.
I couldn't believe that guy turned out to be an actual murderer.
A
He
murderer
lied.
himself.
Yeah, it's like the whole time he's talking about smashing someone with a hatchet. We're like, dude, this guy's the shit.
But seeing, and then also like being like, you know, when they show all the stuff, you have to go back like, damn, Jimmy Kimmel, or was it Kimmel? or
Yeah,
something?
Kimmel had him on.
Yeah, it was like, you were sitting right next to a murderer.
Yeah.
And then like when they go back in the trailer for that, they had the best point, I think, of the whole documentary. The guy goes, yeah, we really kind of like overlooked like, honestly, like he saved those people. It's like, he was actually in the car with the guy who he did this to first. Yeah. He's saying he did whatever. And then his reaction to stop him was to pound him over the head 2 times with the back end and 1 time with the sharp end of a hatchet. And like, you saved that family. He goes, hang on. That's crazy. Yeah. But he did. You could have like subdued a guy.
Right. Choked him out. Punched him once.
Hit him with the thing once and then get his and then it becomes like maybe a scrum of some sort.
Yeah.
He just like buried a hatchet and then
By the way, a hatchet to the head, doesn't that kill you immediately? I'm shocked the guy lived.
You'd have thought maybe it was blunt as hell.
Weak swing though.
Yeah, I guess it was a really weak. Yeah, smash, smash, smash. No,
nah.
It's like swipe, push, tug,
bump, slap,
put that
nudge.
guy up. Yeah, talk about making the most. Like once he started fading out, he was like, "I'll kill a guy, get back in the news,
I want to get back.
get
on
a
the
face
evening
tattoo,
news."
and get back in the game."
I watched that doc on the plane. I had to come back from Australia on a 16-hour flight, so I watched everything. I watched literally every documentary, including not what's it called? This like it's the Supernatural series now. It's like Ancient Aliens. I have to
Oh,
look it
yeah,
up,
yeah.
but it's like a newer version about this. He was on Rogan, the scientist, and I can't remember his name, but he I'm not going to be, but he talked about you know how like all these archaeologists have like continually disregarded his work.
Right.
But because he's just like, they're lazy, which I think is the funniest response when scientists have collectively been like, this isn't true. And he's like, nah, you're just not fucking in it,
They're not
dude.
fine. I know.
You're not deep in this shit.
People who want to believe, they want to believe so bad.
He needs it.
I really fall into like the, you know, Howard Stern kind of like preaches this all the time. I don't think he always practices it, but I mean, I like to just think in the most basic levels of like, when you die, you're just dead. Nothing
Same.
happens.
Yeah.
If there are aliens, we have no contact with them. We've never seen them. They've never been here.
Right.
Like we'd hear about it. You would just find out.
Somehow it would get leaked out.
I mean, you find out if like a C-level celebrity fucks a trans person. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Everybody knows.
Yeah, you find that. I goes, you'd know if there was just dead bodies of aliens in
Yeah.
a
Spread
place.
out in Nevada.
Yeah, and they always, every time they have a documentary, they're like, they've declassified the footage, and then you watch the footage, and then like a lighting camera guy does a video and goes like, this is what's happening.
Right.
It's the shadow of that mixing with that, and that's why it looks like it takes off, because they
Yeah.
turn and the shadow flies away.
Right.
You're like, yeah, that adds up.
Yeah. I
Like-
think the basics, I get what you're saying. I get the basics level of it. My conspiracy love on this one side of my hemisphere of my brain goes, but wouldn't it be tight if it was all fucking real?
Sure.
If this was all just this bullshit.
Oh, I tend to not believe that it is real, but you're like, hey, that could possibly be. That realization is the thing that made up, like, remember the show Scare Tactics?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Why that show was so brilliant to me. And I don't know, I guess it went off the air probably because legally it was hard to do.
Yeah.
Because they would really make people think they're going to die.
Totally.
And the way they would do that I found interesting was like the psychology of it was one of the best ones. They were like, it was Ogden, Utah. I just remember that place.
Yeah.
It's not like you're in LA or New York or a place like in the world of entertainment where like this is fake.
Special effects isn't around.
Something happening is fake here. It's
Right.
1 o'clock in the morning on a dark road in Ogden, Utah, and they're playing a trick on one of the girls in the car with her friends, and the guy's a stunt driver, and they go down this road they're not supposed to go down because it was closed off by the cops, but he was like, we're going straight.
Uh-huh.
And they're kind of like, you know, the girl who's like, is like, okay, I guess we're going. We have to get to this party. And then when they get up the road more, there's a vampire like eating a cop. Like it looks like, you know, it's like the cop's like bleeding and shaking, and they're, and then they chase them on motorcycles. The vampire, they jump on the hood of the car, and the lady's, it's not even just her fear. She's also processing like, okay, well, so vampires are a thing.
Right.
Like to see them process that, not only that, it's like everything you've ever
Right.
thought was like, well, this is just a fake movie character. Like,
It's all real.
holy shit, it's all real. And that's like the interesting thing of that. So it's like, that's a
That's a
kind of the fun you're
conspiratorial
saying.
thing that leans in. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the same thing where it's like, wouldn't it be cool if it's all real? It's like, yeah, just the whole time, like, for sure. It's like if they live, you put on sunglasses and most people are aliens.
Right.
Oh, shit.
A piece of me needs to know it's real just because it feels like too, I think without it, there's too much like harmony. It's almost too simple to be like, yeah, we're here and it's fine.
It's a
And
big accident.
yeah, it's like, fuck that. That's crazy. It's got something else is afoot. We'll never find out. But I think it was like,
Not in our
'cause
lifetime.
he went into this great, the one thing that he continues to say throughout this whole series, which I always find interesting, is, and I think this sometimes, especially when I'm overseas or I'm not at home, it's like, I'll be like, last time I was in fucking Hawaii, there isn't a day that goes by without at one moment me going, well, a volcano could fucking just hit and we'd be dead.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. I could just, this is it. Like, I'm trapped in the middle of nowhere. And then I think of that in my daily life sometimes of like, what if this was the day? You and I are sitting
Yeah.
here and this is the day that The Rock is like, it's fucking coming, dude.
Oh, yeah,
Fuck it.
yeah.
And they're not going to tell you. This whole idea of movies that we had over all these years
Or
of,
Red Dawn is sort of, he goes,
Yeah.
look at that. He goes, I think there's Russians parachuting in here. You don't say.
is that what that? No, I like that movies and TV shows for over the years for the apocalypse have always said like, there's a news report like warning, da da da. Like even in the, what was the one with Leonardo DiCaprio, or is the end of the world where they fucking,
Look up.
yeah, look up, yeah, don't look up
Don't
or
Look
whatever.
Up.
It's like they had like all this, pre-planned shit on the news for months that it's happening. you know fucking well the government will never tell you when it's coming.
No.
If they know, they're like, all right, dude, don't fucking say anything.
Well, they'd
to me."
rather you be surprised, yeah. Or else
Right.
everybody starts like, that's when you have all those movies have. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, all right, we have to drive to so and so. Traffic jam.
Right, right.
Traffic jam for 8 states.
Right. So what? No, you know the government's never going to tell you. The stone's just going to fucking collapse us, and that'll be the end of time. It'll hit the thing and
Hey, what's
ripple
that
us off.
fireball coming here.
Yeah.
It's getting a little close.
Yeah, it's real close.
It's probably like a satellite or something burning out.
Yeah, you know those Chinese those balloons, man. It's that hot air
Well,
balloon.
you're right. I am also like, if we are meant to stay sheep in that regard, like I'm the best.
I'm fine with that too.
I'm like the best
me
audience
out.
for that. I've been saying with like that, like, but again, I'm happy some people pay attention and over give a shit because
Yeah.
someone's got to. The Roe versus Wade overturning examples, like my favorite one of just like, I remember my girlfriend's like panic when they did it just leaked that in a couple weeks it was going to overturn Roe versus Wade, and I'm
Right.
like, will you stop listening to dumb news things? And I say it on stage too because it's funny because how out of the thing I go, isn't Roe versus Wade like biblical? It's been around since like the Bible. It's been around
Wasn't
since
that etched in the
it's been around like
stone?
the 70s or something.
Yeah, it's only like 40
it was-
years.
It's some crazy short amount of time. Like, it's been around since like the Bible. It's not going anywhere. And then like said that one day you wake up and they go, they did it. They overturned it. And it's illegal now in so many states. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
I guess I
I
should
guess
read some
someone's
more
got
of
to
that
pay
bullshit.
attention.
Yeah, but what's the break line? Do you have a thing that you do invest a lot of time into, other than comedy?
Like watching stuff like what
outside in the world. Like, do you have like what's your little bullshit niche thing that like either you invest, like either your hobby or your collection or your fucking the thing you're obsessed over that has nothing to do with the business.
Yeah, not obsessed with it ultimately, but I mean like what I find like intriguing and was watching those, but I'm starting to lose steam on them a bit now. Is the online ones?
Oh, the hunters, yeah.
Yeah, because like the more I watch it, and I went on one with a guy, we didn't catch anybody, but like.
That's so funny. It's like a fishing trip where you didn't catch anything. You're
So
like, do I get my
funny.
money back for this?
It was really like you went. I was like, all right.
We were out at 4 a.m. on that boat. It was freezing.
We saw a guy. I mean, a guy ran for his life from us, which was an interesting thing to see.
Oh,
Because like he never got out of his car, and when he realized he was like, oh shit, this is what's happening.
yeah.
He hauled ass like in a car and like hit speed bumps, and his old car was like rocking when he hit those speed. And I was like, it was so
Did he crash?
interesting. No. But it was so, and he got into the street, and then you got to let him go. They said because like
That's the
you don't
law.
want to cause. Well, you just don't want to cause.
Unless it's a cop or something.
a cop can chase you. Yeah,
That's what I'm
for
saying.
sure.
But
Yeah,
you got
if
the bounty hunter ones.
No, if we would have went out there and did it, it would have been totally illegal.
That's why I like Dog the Bounty Hunter because he acted like he had authority that a police officer would have.
I
It was
know.
brilliant.
But you know what he got me? He'd always he goes,
The
"Hey,
N-word?
you want to smoke?
Oh yeah,
Hey, remember that? He always goes, hey, look, I know we had to chase you down for 8 days,
You
and I
want a
called you a
cigarette?
motherfucker and humiliated you in front of your family. You want me to light you a cigarette?
And
And then they got to do, he
Yeah.
assumes everyone can white trash smoke because they're cuffed.
right here.
So they're doing like the,
Yeah. Side smoke, one side. Yeah, dude, I like that. Did you have that growing up? Did you have people smoking inside your home?
yeah.
Indoor smoking is a new level.
It's, and I've smoked since I was like my late teens, early 20s. And I've never even batted around the idea of smoking indoors in my own house.
But did your parents smoke inside?
My mom, stepfather, yeah, always.
Everybody,
Yeah, my
yeah.
mom doesn't smoke anymore, but until the time she quit, like in-house smoking always, to the point that I never even thought of it as a smell. Like it didn't
Well,
register
see,
with me.
This is what's even
Now, if I like, yesterday, I was smoking. It was rained yesterday. We were out last night. And like when you get up this morning and you're like, with the clothes, you're like, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
All that cigarette. But you're like,
Yeah.
how did I never growing up? I was like, I just lived in that cloud.
And also, everybody had cloth cars seats back in the day, cloth seated rides.
Oh.
And so, but you know what's funny is my dad smoked Winston's my whole life,
Mhm.
and Winston's are, they're only smoked by like degenerate gamblers. It's like that's like a degenerate. It's like a degenerate's favorite. And my dad's car used to have a Cutlass, an old Cutlass Supreme,
Nice.
and the Cutlass had a smell that when the sun would hit the seats, the smell
Brought
of
it
the
out.
Winston's in it. But I got to tell you, I like it. Like it does something to me. It smells like summer in Chicago in my mind.
It's odd thing. Like I remember weird, like kissing someone, like a girl who's got whiskey breath.
Oh,
Like I said, I'm not a big whiskey guy at all.
Right.
But like, for some reason, I like that. Like, I taste that.
it tastes
somehow.
good. Yeah,
It's interesting.
like
Very
whiskey
weird
and cigarettes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I said there's one thing though I learned young that like is a weirdly universal smell. Smoking a cigarette while taking a shit.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter what your individual shit smells like or what your cigarettes you smoke, but cigarettes and shit is the same smell every time. And I remember one time in a smoking room hotel a zillion years ago,
Yeah.
I think even soda was when he goes, oh, taking a shit while you're smoking is the best. And I did it. And I was like, yo, this is handing my dad a roll of toilet paper when I was a kid, like through the door, and the door would crack. And I go, oh, that's the smell, identical smell to my dad.
That should be a commercial for Charmin toilet paper. It's handing your dad through the crack of a door.
Here, Pop.
Pop. Oh my God.
What I thought was interesting is my parents, my step-pop and mom and my dad, my stepfather still smokes Newports.
Oof.
My mom smoked Cools and my dad smoked Cools. What I find just so funny about that is that like menthol cigarettes for my whole like teenage and adult life, the joke and kind of real thing has been it's like a black people's like thing as they do the menthol cigarettes.
Yeah.
And I never had that correlation until
I
got older because I was like, I don't know what you like. My folks smoke.
My parents aren't black,
exclusively.
and that's what they smoke.
Yeah, they exclusively smoke Cool Filter Kings.
You go to them as a kid, you're like, are you guys black and you're not telling me something? Do I not know? Am I colorblind?
Are we a pretty advanced family?
How progressive are we? My dad smoked Winston's, and then his brother smoked Pall Mall unfiltered.
Damn.
Army cigarette. Well, if you're in the service, Pall Malls are what they used to get, and he was in the service. And then when he got back, he would roll his own cigarettes. And then sometimes, I think if he had enough money, he would buy Pall Mall unfiltered because they tasted just like self-rolled. Because he refused to buy filters when you self-roll. Now they come in a pack. I see them now. They come with filters, some of them. But back in the day, in the late 80s and the early 90s, that you had a quick roll. There was no fucking, nobody bought the filters. So he liked those because it was just like,
It's interesting about that as a smoker. Like, if somebody was like, if I was like, have a cigarette, I'll roll you one. I'd almost rather not because it really defeats something about the commercialized formed cigarette is like part of the thing.
Oh yeah, ritual.
So if it was like some kind of weird, like gnarly, just thing, you're like, I'm not really doing it for the nicotine. Is like, this isn't fun.
Yeah, I like the system.
Yeah, so I could smoke my cigarette, point with it, look cool. Hey,
you're
these
not
guys over
with
here.
The bad one you can't point.
No, it's all
you have to hold it a different way.
The back's got like the tobacco falling out of it.
That is true though. That's so funny. Like a self-rolled cigarette, even the best one, you're like, it's not that good.
It's like a joint of tobacco.
Yeah,
it's
and I like the chemicals. That was the thing that we found out in Australia was a lot of people. Europe was the same way. A lot of people, when we'd smoke weed, they would all smoke spliffs. They all wanted tobacco in there. And I quit smoking a while ago, and I try to stay away from it because once in a great while I'll slip back in. I'm not gonna lie, but I try to get away from cigarettes because I was like, man, I quit for a reason. I had to get off of them. And when I smoke a spliff, immediately I hate it because the taste of tobacco with weed I think is terrible. I don't know. And I always tell them, I'm like, just smoke just the weed.
Yeah, I don't fully get the spliff
I don't understand
idea.
that. What would be the point? You're like, smoke a cigarette after you get high.
That's the fun of it almost.
Right. You get high, then you smoke a cigarette.
You're done smoking, and then you're like, oh, now I'm going to go outside and rip a butt.
Feels
enjoy
great.
Being stoned, yeah.
Right. I was like, why do you combining the two to me it defeats the purpose. You don't get as high, and also you don't even get like the satisfaction of a cigarette because it's
They also burn different.
They
so,
do
like,
burn
they
different.
Burn, so it burns very odd when they do that, yeah.
Yeah, this is Big J and Adrian Santino campaigning against spliffs. Cut that shit out, all right?
You
Just
heard
put
that?
weed in
You
there.
hear me, Jamaica?
You hear me? You listen up, Jamaica. Jamaica. No, I didn't like it when we had a couple of people, local guys that we asked to get weed, and I was like, can you get us weed? And there was one kid, one Irish kid, Mal, this kid, was a great dude who was one of the drivers. He's like, no, I'll get you weed. And I was like, how much money do you want? He's like, well, it's a ripoff, but I'll get you a deal. So I said, give me whatever you can. And then they had at the party, a couple of guys had at a joint. And I had to ask, I was like, is this from this bag or is this you guys? He's like, no, he brought it. And I was like, I'll roll up something else. I was like, I don't want to smoke good weed that I just paid for in a shitty spliff joint.
Sure.
I just want to smoke the weed. I was like, but by the way, weed in Australia, so hard to get.
Oh, I bet.
It's illegal apparently, which is
whole country. Really?
Yeah, I sound like a weirdo, but literally, we were smoking a joint out front of the hotel, and there's a group of us, and we're gonna go to dinner, and some guy was like, "Hey, you guys should go around the corner," and I was like, "Oh, we by the front door." I thought it was like a respect.
Sure.
Sorry, I don't want to get weed in the lobby. He's like, no, dude, it's this super illegal. There's cops, walking the strip right there. And I was like, what? Like they're gonna say something?
Everyone,
to us?
yeah.
I
In
was
this
like,
prison continent.
what the fuck? I just, it's
This is
been
where we
so
send our
long.
garbage.
Are you guys scumbags?
Yeah.
I thought this would be promoted.
It's a prison planet.
Right. No, but it was a big deal. And a couple of the people that we were with, unnamed people, were trying to get coke at this party. And another thing that's like, you forget, you're like, I'm in an island 17 hours away from anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's impossible to get stuff. So they were trying to get coke, and they were all talking about how expensive it was and all this shit. And I don't do it. So I was like, well, have fun, I guess. And he was like, oh, we're overpaying for this stuff, and I don't want to share with anybody. I was like, isn't that the whole thing about coke? Is you have to share it with
it's
somebody?
the thing, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, so either
Be
you're
the guy on coke.
yeah, you don't have one dude at
Why
the
do you
party.
guys not want to break dance?
In here, we pour whiskey, whiskey.
Hey man, I love it when it starts to warm up in Southern California. It's been a pretty cold little winter for your boy, and I got to tell you, getting outside in the backyard with my pup is one of my favorite things on earth. To roll around in the grass with the old cubster, and Sunday Lawn Care makes it easier than ever to enjoy. If you're like me, you love spring. You may not have, anticipated how long or how short it's going to take, but get prepared, okay? Because the sunshine, it's a-coming, and Sunday Lawn Care has got you covered. Finally, flowers are blooming, and Sunday is how you get it done, man. This spring, go to getsunday.com/whiskey. Enter your address to get a customized plan created just for your lawn. Whatever your lawn is, no matter how big, how small, or what size or directional diagonal it sits in. No trips to the store or hauling heavy bags since they ship straight to your home. You just need a hose to apply Sunday. You can fertilize your whole lawn in less time than it takes to watch an episode of your favorite TV show, Dave, which is out right now. And they only use ingredients you can feel good about. No harsh chemicals, no long waiting periods, or trying to keep your kids and pets off the lawn. Simply apply, let it dry, and you're back to enjoying your yard. That is my favorite thing because I love the dog and I don't want her to suck up some weird, freaky chemicals. And Sunday has none of that stuff. It's easy and affordable. Some lawn care services cost more than $1,500 a year, but Sunday's full season plans start at just $109. And Sunday is offering our listeners 20% off. 20% off. Full season plans start at $109. You can get 20% off when you visit getsunday.com/whiskey at checkout. That's 20% off your custom plan at getsunday.com/whiskey. I'm not afraid to say it, but everybody poops. You might have read that book. You might have had that book read to you. And everybody does, but everyone has different kinds of cycles, different anxieties. They also have maybe constipation. Maybe you get nervous and get diarrhea, or you're lactose intolerant and everything is going everywhere, dude. Like some of my friends. But hey, that's why you need Seed. Seed's DSO1 Daily Symbiotic supports healthy regularity, healthy motility, and the ease of evacuation. Open up and let it go. They're also increasing research on the gut-brain axis, which Seed is currently researching in partnership with Axel Therapeutics. Our capsule-in-capsule ViaCap safeguards viability through digestion for delivery of an average 100% of our probiotic starting dose to your colon. The outer capsule also serves as an elegant barrier to oxygen, moisture, and heat. No refrigeration necessary. Leave it on the counter. Similar to your gut, your skin has its own microbiome. Your skin is home to trillions of microorganisms and their byproducts, collectively known as your skin microbiome. You want your face to look good, and you want your tushy to feel good. Several of the probiotic strains included in DSO1 Daily Symbiotic were selected based on research which showed beneficial effects on skin and overall dermatological health. DSO1 Daily Symbiotic is an effective way to start supporting your gut microbiome while nurturing your gut-skin axis. Okay? Healthy, glowing skin. You want it? They sent this over to me, and it's phenomenal. I love biotics and probiotics. Get them all in my belly so I can feel clean and natural and neutral and consistent. Okay? I'm not taking fiber at night like my old man. I'm taking stuff like this. Seed delivers that DSO1 Daily Symbiotic to you monthly in sustainable packaging with reusable glass jar that protects the probiotics inside and helps minimize plastic use and waste. Come on. Start a new healthy habit today. Visit seed.com/whiskey. Seed.com/whiskey. Use the code whiskey to redeem 25% off your first month of Seed's DSO1 Daily Symbiotic. That's seed.com/whiskey to redeem 25% off your first month using that code whiskey. Seed.com/whiskey.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Dude, at
Why
the
do you guys
party.
not want to break dance? We're in a different place, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we're not there, buddy.
I've gotten, when I went to the Bahamas first time, I remember Dave Smith was with me, and man, it was so fun. We got off at the port, You know, it's one of those cruise ship like ports.
Mm-hmm.
And this is before the year. Like the first time we went, we were like, you know, they say they're like, don't bring weed. And you're like, it's pretty serious, I guess. International waters, and we didn't bring weed. And then we got to the Bahamas. We're like, maybe we could find some weed here. And we get off, and it's like, no matter what you are, you just when they see you coming, and you even know, like they see me coming. I don't know anything. Boy, I sure hope they don't do the fucked up thing that they're probably gonna do.
Yeah.
Hey, can we get weed? Sure, man, I got you. Give me the money up $60 or whatever for I forget. It was something lame. It was even like an eighth or something like that. Would have been enough. But I was like, well, it's better than nothing. You know, we get an eighth. Gave it to the guy. The guy leaves on like a scooter, like a motor scooter, and I was like, that we just gave money. That guy, that's never coming back.
Yeah, never.
It's not coming back at all. It was also at a time where like it was my first one of those I've ever did, where I was like, I was on a rock music cruise ship.
Who was the band?
I was the comedian on it. The first one was I've done it a bunch now, but that was Korn and Godsmack that year.
Whoa.
And it was but I was broke, and like it was already like there was no hookup for booze or anything. Do you know what I mean?
You'd have to pay?
So I'd have to pay for it. Yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah.
On those fucking boats? Don't they just
some of the back time you could get like beers and stuff, but if you wanted to like get like, you know, I wanted to get my girl like a daiquiri and whatever, you know, it's like, so that's adding up to like, you know.
Yeah, it's $40 a drink or some bullshit.
I mean, it's crazy, you know, but and you could see, you go on like your account thing, and you're like, you're at $400 of drinks and whatever, and you're like, so
that's how much I'm getting paid for this gig.
I mean, it wasn't a lot of money for the gig, and when we get off, I give it to Dave. He's a little more confident. I go, see what do it. So the guy goes off on his scooter, and we're sitting there like we got fucked. He comes back, and he gives us like a Ziploc bag with a tinfoil thing in it. And he goes, here you go. And he just zips off again. And I'm like, oh, he actually came back. And we were almost like, I bet it's not like a full eighth in there. It's probably like a cornball amount of weed. And when I tell you,
gram. It
was like we opened the Ziploc bag. You start taking the tinfoil apart. It was like Russian nesting dolls of tinfoil. It was like another piece of tinfoil down to, and I mean, like a little nug of weed. Brown, some color. It didn't make sense. It was so, and I was so defeated. I just remember like, I think I even got like hissy fit where I was just like, roll it up, Dave, and you guys can go smoke it. Or this is fucking. I was just like so like defeated by the whole thing. And he rolled up like this little twig of like it was so worthless. And then we just learned through the years like just bring it on.
Just bring it. Just bring it. Well, because they care more about checking booze. I've heard. I've never been on a cruise,
well, that's what their money
but I
is.
hear that the booze thing they freak out about, but they're not checking for anything else.
On the Impractical Jokers cruise, there's a great video that Stanhope put out of him. Like he had his body covered in booze under his suit.
Yeah.
He had rum runners on every part of his body. So he had like 2 gallons of like alcohol, like
taped to his legs.
I mean, yeah, it was so goddamn funny to do that.
Because they don't pat you down when you get on the boat.
Now, Lewis one time brought it, like, it's so funny. He goes, I put it like next to my ball bag, like up in my leg.
Right here, yeah.
And then he pulled it, goes, you want to smoke? I'm like, I don't know. Like, wash that bag off or something. No, not really.
Your weed,
You told me where you put it. He's like, it's in my ball bag right now. I'm like, that's awful.
I'm good, man.
But but what's funny was Dan Soder, when he went on the Joker's cruise, we all did that together. We got a bunch of weed. And the way I would do it, it would be such overkill on what you need to do.
Yeah.
Me and my girlfriend would go the night before to the city Miami or whatever. And we'd buy like a bunch of weed. And then we'd buy a carton of cigarettes.
Ooh.
And then, but I mean, I'd open the carton, like where it looks like you can kind of like glue it back down. And I'd pull out a cigarette and I'd take the wrapper off a little bit just so I could open the package and empty out 20 cigarettes.
What?
And roll 20, 25
Holy
joints you could fit in there
shit.
and put it back in there. And then put the thing you pull off back on, that part, and put them back in the thing. And we'd go through all of that trouble.
That's so meticulous.
And more than likely unnecessary.
Because they probably never looked. What do they care?
They just don't care. They really don't. It's not really what they're looking for, I don't think. So we went on the Joker's cruise. We did like that again, but we got Soder 20 some joints, and me and Christine took our 20 some joints. And he was like, "Yeah, is this like?" I'm like, "Buddy, stop worrying. If they don't care."
Yeah, they don't care.
This is my 6th one of these. They don't care. If we were performing as like on Carnival Cruise Lines, they might care about stuff like that. But
Sure.
it was a chartered thing. They
Yeah.
don't give a shit. And then I think the second night, Soder texts me, or the second morning, he texts me, he goes, buddy, put your weed somewhere. They're coming down the hallways with the dogs.
They had dogs?
And they target Soder's room. Soder, thank God, he panicked in the thing. I think they were like, do you have weed in here? And he was like, no. He goes, you have no weed? And he was like, I have just like a little, like right here. And like he gave him like a little bit that he had.
Soder.
And he had to go. But it's so funny, they make it a whole thing and you have to go down.
Like you're, like you're in school still.
And
you
they
gotta go to the
send you to
principal's
like,
office.
well, there is like, those cruise ships have like jail rooms basically.
But there's no cops, right? There's no like who's the
Maritime
authority?
police, which doesn't even sound
Fuck
like
outta
anything.
here. Yeah.
They got on those fucking 3-point hats. Hear ye. But I remember walking down.
It's one of those
you had
Wes
to go-
Anderson movies where you're like, come on, man, I can't buy this. You
But
with the suit on?
It is funny. You're an adult though, and you have to sit there in the room. And they go, you know, sir, that smoking weed is illegal, and you can't. And they have to go. It's like if it happens again,
All right.
there'll be a problem, and they let him go, and it's like not
But
a big
also,
deal.
isn't there different rules at sea? Right?
Maritime law.
Yeah. So there's a maritime law for smoking pot. I would guarantee there's no chance there is.
I would have to say that too.
Yeah. What the fuck?
There's probably not a maritime
Can't
law
you
for anything.
Kill a guy in the ocean and it doesn't
Sure.
it doesn't apply to any country. Some guy listening goes, yes, just killed some fucking dude.
He goes, oh, thank God. He goes,
Thank God.
you got to look at, is that true? Oh, then I'm fine.
I'm good, baby. We don't have to move to Tucson.
Stop packing.
We were just in Sydney where we were at the port. The ship, that's where the cruise ships would come in, right next to Pier 1 where I stayed. And these cruise ships would fucking come in and they were like Celebrity X or whatever the other name is, not the good other one. And they were like, I went out to get a coffee. And one of the people from the boat company, you could tell was and I was like, oh, you tired? You need a late night coffee to, because I like drinking coffee late in the day. People think I'll drink it at 7, 8 p.m.
Sure.
People are like, what do you know? But I said to him, I go, oh, late night coffee on long night? He goes, yeah, tomorrow we've got the biggest cruise ship of this fleet coming in. And I was like, no shit. Well, I can see it from my fucking window. And he goes, well, this will block your view entirely. And we're joking around about blah, blah, blah. And the next morning, never in my life, dude. I know I sound like a guy who saw a moose for the first time. I fucking was stunned at how big that fucking thing was. It had like 10 floors on top of it. And when they opened the gates and let those people off, dude, I mean, not trying to be mean, but when they're rolling off half of the cast of My 600-Pound Life off that fucking thing, it's like shocking how many huge overweight people in rascal scooters, they have to have the ramps to get them all off.
Yeah.
And they have separate ramps for the scooter people to get off.
It really is
tragic as fuck.
A regular cruise is a fat person's like dream.
Yes.
It's really 24 hours a day. There is a buffet.
But it's not just fat. This is like globally fat.
No,
this
no,
is like,
no, for sure. Well, I'm saying I've seen Mike Fenoy, a hilarious comic, actually, when he did the Jokers one the first time, the Practical Jokers one, which I've done that, and I've done all these like rock and roll ones. Whatever it is, you just go into that buffet and you watch people like, I was calling them cruise nachos because, and I mean this, it'd be like they go to every station, like little spaghetti, a little slice of pizza,
right, ribs.
Oh, now there's like some Chinese kind of food, noodles on top of it. And then after all of those things, they go over because at the very end of it, you could just crank like a hot nacho sauce on it.
Oh, God.
So it's just like whatever tour of Europe food you have there,
Right.
this crazy thing, and then just crank. It's so gross.
So gross. It's tough to see, man.
It's so weird because
It made me
when people
sad.
say that, also, I find the food to be not that good on cruise ships.
How could it
at
be?
all. It's, like I said, it's like a Golden Corral at sea.
Right.
But they, I think, like what it attracts is people who are like, they always go, oh, the food, the nonstop. You can get, and they're talking about abundance. They
Right.
don't mean quality.
Right. They want gluttony. They just want to be able to eat as much as you can.
And you can do that when you go to like it's hilarious. The restaurants, for the most part, at least when I saw it, the restaurants are just serve you the buffet food. Like they bring it to your table versus like
you getting
it yourself. It's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
But when we were having so much fun laughing the one time because they had lobster tails And also with the thing about the restaurants, like it's a menu. They give you the menu. And you can go like at any time, like, let me get 4 spaghettis, 3 of this, and they'll bring it to you. They're not huge portions, but it's why they'll keep bringing it to you. And I remember me and my girlfriend just like, they kept bringing out these lobsters. I mean, they were 3 inches long.
Crawfish,
these lobsters.
for sure.
I mean,
Crawfish,
for sure.
yeah.
And it's like, I guess, can you bring 11? Like, can you bring 11 of them?
And they would, though.
They don't care.
Yeah,
It's
they
like,
don't think about it.
Here. It means nothing to them.
It gets me back in the days. Whenever I see cruises, it gives me this feeling in my chest of like when I used to do those Vegas rooms when I was first starting out, and they would make you stay in the fucking like, you know, the asbestos laden room in the half basement of fucking the
Yep.
Mirage, and you'd have to eat in the basement with the crew.
Yeah.
And there's no windows down there in the basement. And you get your little employee card, and you could do up to like, I think it was 2 meals a day or something. Like you couldn't have breakfast there, but you could do lunch and dinner. And remember that, dude? And you'd get paid like, I don't know, it was like $30 a show or something like that. And you'd go eat in the basement, and that feeling of the buffet, even the buffet felt like it was the leftover buffet from upstairs. Like it was what it's like what didn't make the cut or what they had left over. That sadness makes me feel, that's what cruises look like to me. So I can't.
It's what they are.
I can't do it.
Even when you do it, and I've started to get like, you know, I'd be going on there with a little more of like, you know, making more money. My name was a little bit bigger, and then it's when they start doing like, oh no, you got to go up to like the artists like lounge food,
Real food.
and you get up there and they're like, oh, where they have tuna sandwiches, and it's just like more shit.
Yeah, it's even worse.
It's green room food, like all of it. It's just like that kind of thing. It's they're so proud of it.
Somehow the improv serves on the boat. You're like, isn't this just the improv menu at sea?
Yeah,
The
fried
improv
mushrooms.
Yeah.
I can't with that menu.
The improv at sea. There's no organic way to fucking do this, but I do want to make sure I plug it before we get to, because I'm like I'll just keep going off into nothingness. But when this is out, and this will be out when you have a new special out,
Yes.
which is incredible. I'm not gonna kiss your butthole more than 3 seconds, but you're a phenomenal comic, and everybody
thank
needs
you,
to
man.
watch this because you're fucking great. And it's out. The name of it is
Dog belly.
Dog Belly is out. I'm sure you explain more of that in the special.
Yeah, dog belly. What it
Yeah.
means? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dan Soder actually like gave me the name as a suggestion.
Oh, he did?
I was just gonna do live from Skankfest, and now it's called Dog Belly live from Skankfest, basically. But
You had to include the Skankfest in there.
yeah,
You weren't
yeah.
gonna pull that out.
yeah, we gotta shove it down their throats so they know what we're doing.
That should be the title, Skankfest. We're shoving it down your
Shove it
throat.
down your throat, Skankfest. But yeah, it comes from like one of the bits, and Soder was like, it's such a great, because it's also the concern of having the name be something you have to watch the special to understand. Always in my mind, all I ever see with that is, I want you to take his face off. You remember in the movie Face?
Yeah,
And I'm like, is that what it's always going to be when you see the name in the special? You're like,
yeah.
corny.
But
I think the way it hits is like a different. So
no, man, it gives. I like when I did that special on Netflix, and I said I named it Cheeseburger for 2 reasons. One, it has a bit in it about it, and the other side of it was Neil Brennan was talking to me about it when he came on the show, and was like, because I was like, oh, I don't want them to have to watch it, but he was like, yeah, but it's a phrase where who gives a shit?
Right.
It's basically, he's like, you're saying 2 things. One, you're saying this will mean something in the special. Also, who the fuck cares?
yeah,
It doesn't matter. You're watching Big J Oakerson special. It doesn't fucking matter what I put after that. That's why a lot of times what I really like is who used to do this a lot. Oh God, I can see the comic in my head, but every one of his tours would be just like back on tour or on tour or again on tour. Instead of naming a tour, it was just like, fuck it, man. It's whatever. It's Big J on tour. Big J in your city. Because it just gets exhausting when they're like, but we want to market a new thing with your name and the thing. And you're like, whatever, man.
It's fun to name the tour thing, I guess. But like,
It is.
What was so funny was I've never done it before, and then everyone was like, this time around, like we should like
Name it.
should throw a name onto it. So I was like, from a bit I was doing at the time, I was like, you gotta want it, tour. And then as soon as I got announced, I did Kill Tony, and they bagged on me for it like hard, which was funny. I mean, it was hilarious. I didn't give a shit. I was like, yeah, I guess it is corny. And then I've never named anything ever again. And I think it's changed now because of the special coming out. They've changed a lot of the banners and headings and stuff.
Sure.
but like it's funny doing phoners now. And they go, Big J's bringing his, you got to want it tour to thing. You're like, you don't have to. Like,
You don't have to
I
do
literally
that.
said that in 2018 or something.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
let's just never talk about it again.
Also, it's something that usually you threw away into the. It's like a phone call with like an agent or something where they're like, "What do you want to call it?" And you're like, you know, da tour." And they're like, "Got it, great. We'll print it on everything." And you're like, "No, wait, I'm just filling time because I didn't answer that email you sent to me a month ago." That's really what it is. Is like most of the time comics are like, "I don't know, man. I don't have some grandiose vision."
We're not as much as we'd love to be. And there's a cool thing about that. Like comedians, cool for the most part. People that I like too, tends to be by accident almost.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So times when you have to put forward like a cool thing always feels fucking late. I just took my first like promo pictures in like 10 years.
Yeah.
I've taken them. And I get it. You see the picture and you're like, it looks cool, I guess. Like they just gave me a thing for a new like tour dates thing. And I'm like, looks cool. But if any of my friends had the same poster, even though I'd go, it's a cool picture, I'm like, when I see him, I'm going to uncork.
Right.
Because it's the class, it's like they end up going with like, it does look, I'm lighting a
this one.
joint. I mean, I'm lighting a joint. The smoke's everywhere. And, you know, look, and it's like all the dates down there. And I'm like, that's really putting forth an image that isn't actually.
I know, but the truth is, you learn as you go on in the business that all the things that we would make fun of, and we still do, you're a part of it anyway because it's a part of a thing that isn't you. It's completely out of your fucking control.
Louis J. Gomez really knows me well and caught me at a good time. He just did this with my promotion thing too. But when he came to my Comedy Central hour taping, he did the warm-up for me. And he was there when we did the run-throughs, and I didn't know what the intro was I knew the band was going to play,
Yeah.
and I was going to walk out from the back. I picked kind of like the backdrop and how it is. I love that, but when I go out, he goes, so there's going to be cryo jets, like on the sides of the stage. So when you walk out, the banner's going to be flowing, you're going to come, the cryo jets are going to go off, and you just go around like, you know, shake hands, knuckle pound the audience, and then you can sit in your chair.
Right.
And I went out there and did it for the run-through. And Louis grabbed me in the back and he was like, I know you. I know your personality well. I know it sucks. He's like, don't go out there. And he knew what I was going to do. I was going to go out there and while all that grandiose things are going off, I'm going to be like, I know, right? Everything's going to be like, this is dumb. And how dumb is it? He goes, you got it for that 1 minute, own it. And go out there and be like, you know, what's up? We're doing this. And I'm like, it's so against the grain because I just want to be like, isn't this too much for
Yeah.
I'm just going to sit on a stool and tell dick jokes.
This is the thing that like comics have to get over at some point is like, yeah, man, but it's also a show. And you're giving them a performance and it's a part of a thing. And It's like, I think it's hard to explain, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
But in music, like you get to posture and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's what we like. It's
what every comedian wants.
Choosing to put your foot on the monitor.
Fuck yeah.
One of them's on the monitor and the way you're holding the mic and that means something. Or the way you're looking at the audience. It's also maybe not calculated in each move, but you're calculating. I'm going to be up here like a fucking panther on the stage and like, you know, like a rock god. You know, people come, and then comedy's just you're supposed to be going like, I'm a doofus, huh?
Yeah.
So to have that moment where you're like, you know, from coming down from the ceiling and stuff. Like, dun.
Yeah, no, it's.
But it also works. I never like when I was just like a Mark Ford or a person like watching comedy and stuff. A good example of that always is like Dane Cook's thing. I wasn't just like, what a jerk off he's being like that. I'm like, this guy's like a rock star.
It looked rad.
Yeah.
Everybody unequivocally, every fucking liar can say whatever they want. Everyone you know was back then was like, wow, this is dope. Because it was huge. It was big. It kind of made you feel something different than all the other things you had seen before.
And his comedy was also big enough to fill that space.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's not like sitting on a stool guy. It's not like a Bargatze where it's like, you know, more like dialed back, like come to them.
Yeah, it's right
like
here.
He was like, you know, he's on the ground, he's on his knees, he's laying on his back. Yeah.
Spitting, flipping. Yeah, spitting that water up into the fucking sky in that wife beater. And everyone remembers that so vividly. Because every one of us was whether you were a comic right at the moment or you were trying to be a comic, I remember watching it being like, God, this dude is I'm not that thing. I was like, I'll never be that big. But it was extremely impressive. Meanwhile, on the other side of that coin is like Chappelle, you know, I'm speaking out of turn, but like he smokes on stage. So much of his smoking mannerisms
Yeah.
are performative. I mean,
Oh,
I know the
yeah.
guy loves smoking, but it's also very much a part of the dance he does.
No, when you want to do it, when he starts lighting it and he goes, and before it's lit, he's still
Come on,
talking with it in
come
the
on,
mouth. I'm like,
come on.
oh yeah, those are calculated things.
100%. You and I, like, he came out to Australia, and him and Donnell and Brandon.
I mean, when you come out to sorry to cut
Yeah,
you
no.
off, but just on the smallest level, like when they ask you what your song you're coming out to or whatever on the thing, like I certainly like, the song I've been coming out to lately has like a beginning like drum roll that goes to something. So like I sit there and they go, Big Joe Oakerson, you hear and then I go, now. Like even like a quiet, unthought of thing, you go, this is the moment.
Yeah.
You walk out.
In here, we pour whiskey.
Hey, guys hate going to the doctor. It literally takes half a day just to get it done, finding parking and walking up those stairs. And it's also a hassle and planned at inconvenient times, and you don't want to talk to your doctor about certain issues. Here's the thing. Most men's health issues have really simple solutions. REXMD is all about simple solutions. REXMD makes getting generic and branded Viagra or Cialis very easy. Everything's online, even the prescription, and they deliver to your door. They delivered to our door here at the studio because Bobby wanted to try it, and he loved it. Didn't have to talk to a receptionist, didn't have to go through a weird elevator and find which room was with who and what where. You know, Viagra can cost around $90 a pill. That's expensive. But REXMD has generic Viagra for as low as $2 a pill. That's what it should be. Just fill out a quick medical questionnaire on their website. A doctor is going to review the situation and prescribe you generic Viagra if it's appropriate. It's fast, simple, cheap, and you can access your U.S. licensed REXMD physician anytime you need afterwards, all right? They've helped over 300,000 guys get generic Viagra. Why not you? Quick and conveniently, REXMD, it just works, and it works the very first night. You want to rev up that engine the right way? Bobby tells me he loves it, and he uses it all the time. Because, he's a single mingle man. That's what he's got to do. To keep it moving, ain't nothing wrong with that, my friends. Act now to take advantage of their deal by heading to rexmd.com/whiskey, rexmd.com/whiskey. Our exclusive deal will save up to 90% off, or you'll pay as low as $2 per dose on generic Viagra instead of $90 or more on Viagra. Starter packs of generic Viagra or Cialis are now available for our listeners to get started. That's rexmd.com/whiskey, rexmd.com/whiskey for up to 90% off and a free gift. Your partner will thank you.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Here I am. Everyone wants to play into that. It's just what level that you play into it that you're comfortable with. Like I was saying, like when Chappelle and them came out, and I was sitting backstage with Donnell, and I was talking to him about the whole show, because I was like, man, he puts on like a fucking show. And I was speaking to him about how everything feels extremely coordinated and timely. But to the audience, it's like this fucking phenomenal moment. These nights, because I came with some cast and crew members, and you hear them talk about it, and they're like, it was magical to them. But you're inside of it, so you see it differently.
Yeah.
And when you feel that, like even the smoking thing, I see what it does for them, and it's unexplainably perfect. Where you're like, yes, this was very good. He brought this girl over and was chopping it up with this girl like 4 rows in, and we kept taking the cigarette out and looking back and doing, and it was like, I was stoned to the gills, but I was like analyzing every piece of it, being like, this is perfect. This is exactly what they want to see. It's as much of his personality as is true, but it's also, he does that thing in a way where it's big rock star shit, but it's super small. I think that's what's so interesting about Dave. He does massive shit in a very small way.
Oh, it's trying to turn the big space into a club.
You do something very similar, honestly, to compliment you, is like, when you sit and you speak to somebody, the way you do it fills a big thing with a very intimate, small thing. Super difficult to do. But honestly, you really do a great job of like, you're able to kind of hook into something or someone. And it's just almost just like all these people then, these hundreds or thousands of people are able to just like snap into one little thing. Super tough to do.
It's sort of though, like, and I appreciate, thank you, man. That's awesome of you to say. It's such like I think it's like a comfort thing, but also like to give always like credit to, I mean, not that he doesn't get his credit, but Patrice O'Neal, one of the greats, would have been, I think, one of the greats ever.
He probably would have been one of the best of all time. Yeah.
When I watched him, when I was young, I thought Bill Cosby himself doing it in the chair was kind of cool.
It was cool, yeah.
I was never like driven to like necessarily sitting down comedy, but watching Patrice and the obvious like a correlation of us, like me and Patrice, like both big guys, both whatever. And you know, we always had a great story. I thought from the beginning. Like I looked up to him so much, you know, and we were doing when I first got into New York. A lot of the shows Patrice was closing, like the showcases, like I was on somewhere in the middle.
Right.
And we were friendly already, me and Patrice. He was like kind of took me under his wing, at least like as a friend to a degree, because Keith Robinson brought us up. And it was me, Kevin Hart, and Kurt Metzger, and we were kind of like the new guys that Keith was bringing in.
You, Kevin Hart, Kurt Metzger.
Yeah.
Look at you three now.
It's crazy.
Same space. Same space.
Yeah, Kev's going to get there.
He'll figure it out.
He'll figure it out. He's going to find his way.
Yeah.
What an interesting thing, too, like starting with someone like Kevin Hart really is, like, to no fault of his own, the emotional roller coaster I've been on in my head of, like, Kevin Hart for the last 25 years is so, you know what I mean? Because, like, first you're like, oh, dude, one of our guys is doing it, man. Like, fucking Kev's doing it. And then you're like, how is this going so great for you? You know what I mean? Like, he's looking like a bitterness, like, to it and stuff. It's like, it's a weird thing to hold yourself up to. Do you know what I mean? Like a rare, not just like opportunities and luck, but like talent. You know what I mean? That got him to like. It's pretty impressive, man. It's wild,
crazy
what he did. But as a you know, when you have like your 12th year of comedy and you're like, all right, all my bills are paid, but I have $300. Like time to start this month over and do it again. You're like, I think I'm gonna kill myself. I'm sure it was the ultimate point we were talking about here with
you guys with you and Patrice, and when you were starting up with Keith and
yeah. So he brought I was still, I like still like envied Patrice more than I felt like we were like tight. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I love that we were like friendly and like would talk, and he'd bullshit with us and talk on the phone and everything. It was great. And then one day at Caroline's, after I did my set, somehow it got telephoned back to me. You know, people telling each other that Patrice said you're taking his material, which I don't even know how to begin to like approach with him.
Yeah.
Because I'm not at all. And also, but I was like, but the fact that he said that to someone who feels that way, like, what do I do here? I'm not going to argue with him about it. Like I didn't, but like that sucks. So for the next 2 days or so at the Comedy Cellar in New York, I'd just kind of high and by them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I cold shoulder, but more just like I avoided sitting at the table where they're all at. And I kind of like, you know, hey guys, what's up? And go. And then someone told him, I'm sure somebody that I told what's going on.
Sure.
Said something to him. And he called
Comedy
me.
is high school, by the way, for people that are listening.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
And he called me up the next day, still house phones at my mom's house in Philly. And he's like, man, he goes, I didn't say you stole my material. I didn't say that at all. He goes, what I said was, to his manager, he goes, what I said was that me and Jay keep ending up on all these shows. By the time I get on stage, I got nothing to talk about because you're doing fat guy shit. He's like, and then I go up there and do a bunch of like fat guy shit. That's what I'm saying. He goes, but I'm telling you, like, don't worry about it. You should do what you're doing. The young guys are supposed to like make us rise up.
Yeah.
He's like, I got to stop doing it. I got more to say than a bunch of fat shit anyway. So I'm going to stop doing that stuff so much anyway. And it was funny. He goes, basically, he was like, so you could have it.
Yeah, you can
and
have it.
And I was kind of like, when you hear that, you're like, well, I want to be better than that too. I don't want to just do it.
I don't want it either.
But it was so funny the way that comes back to you. But it was that was kind of a cool moment to watch Patrice like change his thing. But also, I watched Patrice go from a standing comic to sitting on the stool.
Yeah.
And at a place like the Comic Strip, like these kind of intimate New York venues, watching him do that and the difference in the audience with him, because he's an imposing force and it's aggressive comedy. And something about just sitting on the stool brings kind of forces the audience to like go to you a little bit, like lean into you. Whereas, so I started doing that for the same reason, because I go, the reactionary difference from the audience, from me looming over them and being like, have you ever stuck this guy's dick in the car? Like, seems more like they're like, whoa, versus sitting down, like almost like with your back thing, like, you've blown this guy in the car before, yeah? And they're kind of like, yeah, you know, it's like it's like more of an ingratiating, like it's just like, it's not like I said, like a big presence of a big guy. It sounds like you're bullying them, you know what I mean? Why don't you fuck this guy tonight if you buy all your drinks?
Fine.
It's like, okay, all right.
Yeah, but this way feels more like you're, it's like voyeuristic almost, where you're like, you're seeing it and then giving giving your peace of mind about it. And then they can choose to be like, well, I'm not just because I bought it. Then they get the opportunity to kind of have an equal hand.
Yeah. We're all sitting.
Well, because already on stage, whenever people talk to people, it already feels looming. You're above them. You're louder than them. There's all these elements of communication that already are intimidating. So when you're sitting, it does do a trick to people a little bit. That's like, no, I'm not gonna fucking attack you. I'm sitting. I can't punch you. I'm sitting.
Oh, he's just asking a crazy question.
Yeah. It's just like being on the bus.
And also like asking with the tone of, exactly the same thing of like, hey, have you ever jammed your hand up your boyfriend's ass before? And like, if they answer, it's like the fact that they'll answer that with like, no, I never have. You think it's in a world where like, I'm blown away almost when you ask it. They go, excuse me?
Right.
Don't ask me that about my husband. But it's not, generally it's like, even if it's like a no, they're like, no, I never have.
We haven't really talked about it.
We've done a lot of stuff, but like never put a hand up his ass.
Never did a hand. That wasn't our thing. When you tour and you're doing a ton of crowd work, what do you think is the difference in pure material versus crowd work time-wise when you're on the road? Like, are you dedicating?
Well, now it's like, I've just never, whatever reason, man, whenever I've sat down and done, I do envy this. When I remember like a Bargatze or something like that when we were younger, like, we'll do a couple hours of writing. Soder, even to this day now, he goes, get some writing done and then go over here.
Yeah, but I see him when he writes. He's just sitting there in the mirror jerking off by himself.
But I really can't, like, I just know, I may be being a bit hard on myself, but just in my experience, whenever I've sat and been like, try to do that thing, he goes, all right, let's go. Like, smoke a joint. Let's write some comedy. When I come out of it and like read it all, it ends up being the equivalent of like airplane food. Like, it's like, these subways are nutty. I tend to think on the fly much more uniquely, I hope, and also like referential and things. You know what I mean? Like, it moves around like a little bit like better if I'm kind of thinking quick.
Yeah.
In the moment, I stay on my toes and it keeps me going. And that's how I write. It's like I'll have the concept. I ask somebody a question and it just builds into something, and then I remember a story of mine that correlates to that.
Totally.
And kind of do it like that. So it's like.
But you take notes down afterwards?
No.
You don't listen back?
No, that was the hardest thing about the pandemic with this particular special. Was like I had to learn it twice because I was doing it, and then 3 months of nothing.
Yeah.
I think it was at least 3 months, no gigs at all. And then I went back, I remember Indianapolis, Helium, and I went on stage. I remember as soon as I walked down the stage and sat down, I was like, I don't remember at one bit of
what is this
something
shit?
about girl it had a thing about that, it was
girl
like
cops.
Yeah, and it was like going through that, like trying to relearn it again was kind of a pain in the ass, which I really should like at least, but I don't know, like, and I don't think every comic has this, and it's good. They shouldn't. Watching this and watching this special down to like edit it, I just can't, man. I have a hard time with myself.
Oh, hate it. What do you
myself.
mean hate it? That's
like,
the
is
worst.
Is that what my voice sounds like?
Yeah,
is
I
that
hate
how I
that.
sit all the time? And then I'm thinking, well, change this, and I stopped getting into that where I'm like, change these angles because like I look like awful. I look fat from that angle. And it's so funny. Like the audience knows exactly what you look like.
Yeah, they've already made up their mind.
Even in the dumbest thing of like, if a girl thinks you're attractive, she thinks you're attractive. If you're not her thing and she just thinks you're funny, she just thinks you're funny. It's got nothing to, in my mind, I'm like, what if they find out when I sit down from the side, like I'm kind of wide front to back. I'm a heavy guy. They're like, they know.
Yeah.
Like they already know. But in my mind, I'm like, they're you're seeing through my trick.
Right. I'm exposing too much for you guys. But it is true that you do get over analytical of like when you cut down a special. It's a fucking nightmare. I mean, but
any kind of editing though. I went to that Burt Kreischer roast thing last night.
Oh yeah, how was it?
It was great. They edited it great, but they have to edit it. You know, I mean, I did like, I guess it was like 20 minutes almost, like 19
When did you guys
minutes.
shoot that? It was like a couple months ago. Yeah,
December.
Yeah.
When I did it, I was like, I had all this, and like when the edit comes out and stuff, no matter what, you're just like, thought I had a couple other great things in there, but it's not my call. It's fine. But it came out great. They really.
But that happens all the time. I mean, that's just because I do a lot of,
They have to cut. It was 20 minutes. Everyone's supposed to do like 4
don't
or
have a
5
choice.
minutes. Yeah.
But it stinks when it happens in like in TV or film stuff that I do. That it's agonizing because you'll go, the best version of that joke they left out. Like I just got sent something I did. I did like this indie movie, and they sent me a
House
cut.
Party.
Yeah, no, that felt like a fucking indie movie.
I just thumbed through it the other day to
Oh.
see, like, because I still didn't fully grasp if it was a remake or not.
Yeah, in a
It's
way.
a loose.
In
It's
a
a loose
way.
retelling. 'Cause
It's
it's not.
supposed to be kind of like the new generation's version of the thing, you know? And yeah, it's tough.
They did the dance scene, which is the one that bummed me out because I was like, you either got to make these are dancer kids or
Yeah.
having a dance scene in the middle of it just to nod to Kid and Play was weird.
It was like paying that. What's funny about it was like the original for people that grew up with it was so like iconic, and I think part of the reason it was iconic was because those two cats were actually friends and were performers together, and it would be like you and one of your best friends doing a thing.
Yeah.
So now it was casted, and those two dudes are both good actors in their own right, and
Sure.
that doesn't matter. The point is there was no pre-existing relationship that bonded them off camera.
Yeah.
That's what made Kid and Play so fucking good
Doing
was
a few movies together, yeah.
yeah, but that's who they were in real life. So it was kind of like you were taking art was imitating life, and in this form, it's art imitating art, which was like it gets so subversive. You're like, what are we? That's why you were like, am I watching a fucking remake of the thing, or is this supposed to be not
Is it just called House Party?
right?
And
Is
it's
it
like a different movie.
It's nodding to the original, but it's not. I mean,
But
that-
obviously was nodding because like I think
yeah,
Kid
no,
and Play had a
totally.
cameo.
But it
and-
also had this other subtext to it, which was like we're joking about the other movie.
Dude, one of my favorite things in that movie that I didn't understand when I saw it when I was younger was that the three bad guys are Full Force. They're in the original are Full Force, which sounds like a rap group's name.
Yeah,
And then I don't know if you remember that Full Force is like those big, muscular, scary guys.
yeah,
It is the softest R&B music
yeah.
ever.
It's like Boys to Men. Yeah,
It's
it is
crazy
Yeah,
how soft it
it
and those
is.
guys are like big, like, you know, there was the big scary punks coming to like fucking
Right,
beat up Kid and Play.
right.
And they're all cried out. Remember that song?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
them.
Yeah,
It's
that
Lisa
is.
Lisa Cult Jam and Full Force, them singing.
Yeah,
The song that the big dance happens to in the original,
yeah.
the dance scene with the girls and the guy and Kid and Play, that's Full Force.
That was Full Force.
That's Full Force also. Yeah, it's such a weird like but again, that's a fun kind of what a fun time it looked like in rap too. I watched the was it the Salt and Pepper?
Salt and Pepper documentary.
But that documentary, like the movie, they made like a Lifetime. Lifetime started doing movies of like 80s rappers.
Oh, no
Which is
shit.
pretty funny. But the plugging in of making sure you see everybody like in some capacity,
Mm-hmm.
the way they got through that was like Salt and Pepper, you're here at your first ever award show. And like the over explanation narrative, like you're at your first award show. Come over, your green room's over this way, or your dressing room's over this way. And they walk by and they're like, oh hey, Heavy D and the boys. Oh look, it's MC Hammer and whatever.
Right.
And
As
just
they
like
pass by every
just
door.
passing by people,
Right,
yeah.
right.
And in the beginning of that movie, I guess it's like a true thing. That it was a Sears call center in Queens, and it's Salt and Pepper worked there together.
Mm-hmm.
Kid and Play also worked there together, and Martin Lawrence.
What?
Whether this is true or not, but this was
That's
in
awesome
the
if it is.
movie. It was, but again, like the over explain. Those Lifetime movies are the best because I think Salt already worked there, and then Peppa like got the job, and she was like, "Girl, sit here next to me at this like call center," and she goes, "Go on, tell me everything about everybody," and she's like, "That's Chris and Chris over there." They go by Kid and Play. He goes, they call themselves Kid and Play. They think they rappers and dancers.
Right.
And that's Martin Lawrence. Everyone's full name. He goes,
He think he's
that's
funny.
Martin. Exactly. He goes, this
Yeah.
guy thinks he's a comedian. And then he stands up and says something funny. I go, oh, crazy Martin Lawrence.
But somehow those movies, if they weren't like that, you'd be annoyed. You're like, come on, let's talk about Martin Lawrence.
You're
Yeah.
not wrong. You
Yeah.
do want to say, he goes, are they even going to say that they work with Kid and Play?
Right. You,
And you're like,
you
oh,
need
there
it
they
to
are.
exist.
And then the guy has like the high top, like, oh, they did
Oh,
a
kid,
and
look at this
Play
right
guy.
there. That era of hip hop was, I mean, I'm biased, and I've,
Sure.
my fans have heard it enough, but like, it's not that I'm getting old man disease about new hip hop. It's just that I cherish it so much. I don't dislike new shit.
How old are you?
40.
40?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old are you?
45.
Yeah. So it's just like, we probably grew up in a similar
Sure.
gut of it, but it just doesn't hit me as much. But the old stuff, I know, I'm also so attached to because it did so much to my life. Like it was so influential. Rolling around in my friend's fucking, Volkswagen Golf, baking it out, listening to fucking De La Soul. It's like it did something because it was such a moment in time.
Oh,
It's not that it was so much better than anything today, because that argument is always bullshit.
That is age. That's the thing. It's like I don't know what the new sound is. That's catching.
It's just
everybody.
different. It's just it means something different to you. I used to say this about SNL. It's the same thing. When somebody goes, SNL was better 50 years ago, or it goes, yeah, because it's not for you anymore.
Yeah,
they didn't make it for
time.
me. Yeah, they're not making it for guys that are 40 and 45. So just like now, it's like newer music. When somebody goes, that stuff sucks, you're like, they're not making it for you because 48 million kids listen to it today. So you're not the guy. It ain't you.
Has your age hit you yet? Where you're like, I find like people using young people using young slang in like big things is disrespectful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when an SNL sketch has a thing where like one of the young guys comes in, he goes, "Oh man, last night was lit up at the club," and I'm like, "Who's this for?" Like,
Yeah.
Who's
lit?
I don't talk like that.
What's lit? Why does it need to be lit? Yeah.
What an interesting time in those whenever House Party 1 came out, the original came out, of like, this is almost a thing people kind of forget too, because the Salt and Pepper Kid and Play kind of like friendly rap, I think that evolved into like the De La Soul,
The flower
kind of like
power.
the earthy, kind of like
yeah.
PM Dawn type thing like that. That evolved because it was such a switch. Like I remember a year or two in high school where like Aaron Powers, the half black kid that could do a split, like a dance split and come up and could dance good and everything, was like awesome for that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing where dancing, it's such like a soft, it's such a soft activity to be like a thing that makes people like cool. And that was Kid and Play's like whole thing. Like, man, these guys can dance. MC Hammer's whole thing was, look at this guy move.
You could dance.
And it almost didn't scare your family when you'd see them.
Right. Well, yeah, it was easy for white suburban kids to play that in their house because their dad was like, that's the guy with the pants? I love the pants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you show up with like, and then I came home with As Nasty as They Want to Be, like 2 Live Crew.
So good.
And then you're like in trouble. But even just that switch to go to like the Onyxes and something like that, like where it became like angry, aggressive gangster rap, whatever, I guess what they chose to call it across the board. But
That's
like
what the
that
white
stuff,
media chose to call it. Yeah.
But it's such like good, that switch was weird, but I do remember when it was all about wearing like purple and yellow short sets and jumpsuits and like
it was very like the flower power era was very like Afrocentric, but also like it was like promotional, and it was also like communal in a way that was inviting, because they'd be like, my brown brothers, my white sisters, my Asian fellas. You know what I mean? It was always like inclusive in this weird way that was like, everyone's invited to the soda pop party. That's what it felt like.
Well, I like my daughter is funny. She's 20 now. And as I watch her like get older, it's fun to watch. Like I thought her music was just going to be like what I would call horseshit of today.
Right.
But you do have an effect on them. You know what I mean? Like my daughter, like when she'll put her iPod on, like stuff that I played for, even like Iron Maiden songs or something will pop up, and the White Stripes and whatever.
Right.
She got like into it in some way, but I don't know. Like,
do you guys go to shows together?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, I'll take her. We just went to Rage Against the Machine.
Doesn't that feel incredible?
Oh, it's so awesome.
Like
and
those
she loves
moments.
It.
That's fucking so cool.
And she loves it.
Because she's an adult. It's like you can show her the thing that you liked as a young adult that you were like, I don't know if you did it, but like for me, it was like, I never did that with my parents. I never shared any of that fucking shit. It's like my parents hated, they were like, who are you going to see?
Taking my parents to see Guns N' Roses at MSG a couple years ago was a pretty cool moment, because on the way there, even talking to them, I go, I remember bringing home Appetite for Destruction and you being like, what is this noise?
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, and you go, now it's considered classic rock. And you're like, of course we want to go see Welcome to the Jungle and whatever. And I'm like,
but that's only now. You can only do that now, which is so funny. It's like, now I can take my parents for stuff that I like now, because we're both so grown that they respect you enough.
Yeah.
But when I was young, it's like, I could have never convinced them they would have never come along to a thing. They would it's like they put me in jail for fucking smoking weed, and now my mom has had edibles. It's just like, remember when you used to fucking yell at me about this shit? And they're like, well, it's different.
It's a different time now.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, they Yeah, my parents were, and my parents never really did. They weren't like, they smoked cigarettes. They weren't drinkers. They weren't pot people at all. I
Yeah.
got my mom, they both worked in a hospital, so like, they really couldn't. And, but yeah, alcohol was never a thing. I never drank underage at all, really. It's so weird.
Never
Like, I don't
partied.
have any of those, like going to the woods things and stuff. I would like try to go to
Yeah.
the party and then just like, walk around. But I thought pot, my dad was sort of deadbeat when I was younger. So like, I always equated that with that he smoked pot.
Pot was
He was
that
like a pothead guy.
Right,
So I was like, that's what losers do. And then
Look at you now.
And then I got it and I was like, oh no, it's pretty great. You know what? The old man was right. This is better than raising a child.
That's what I used to say. My dad went to jail for coke, and I was like, you were your kid, and you're like, who would leave a family for coke? And then you do coke, and you're like, I guess this all
This is
adds
better
up.
than
Yeah.
that. Man, Kurt Metzger used to have a bit about that. It was like when someone's like addicted to heroin, like those intervention shows. I hope I'm not massacring it too much, but it was just like when they go, I don't understand it. Like he had a family, he had a wife who loves him and kids. And I was like, why? Why would he turn his life over to just doing heroin? And he goes, and I always want to tell them, like, you're so close to the answer. It's that heroin is better than all those things. It's just the truth.
Yeah,
Because
it's just
heroin is
easy.
just better than that. Burping a baby and getting spit up and then they're crying all night is better than just sinking away into the Led Zeppelin album.
It's true that it's sad that you're like all these responsibilities. I get completely why young parents are like, I think I'm gonna party away and not pay attention to this kid.
Oh,
Fuck
yeah,
that,
yeah,
fuck
yeah.
that.
My dad was 22 or 3 when he left. And he went to Florida and then he came back and married some other lady like an hour away.
In Philly?
Like outside of Philly. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
we were in Philly and he moved like outside of it with this lady.
Respectfully, he's like, I'll come close. I won't be right there. I'll be near you guys.
Yeah, I'll be near you.
Yeah.
Don't complain that much. I probably won't show up often.
I'm not too far. Is he alive?
Yeah.
You talk to him?
Yeah.
You're good now.
Yeah, it's like we're good because but I did have to completely like fold to the idea that like he's never going to quite get it. He's not going to apologize for the
No.
way he was ever, and he's going to go. And I could acknowledge that I'm like, he's a charming guy. What's fun now is like discovering, I took such at face value so many things he would tell me when I was younger because it also takes a while. Me and Soder would talk about this a lot. When the dad leaves, his dad, same thing. Both named Gary, our dads, both left in the same way. And
Couple
we're
of
kind of
Garys.
deadbeats.
Yeah.
And in that way, but like when I was younger, like it was almost like he was the coolest for not showing up. He goes, Dad can't show up. He's probably getting pussy or kicking someone's ass, And it's been funny, like re-saying things, like the new perspective on things. You get older and you've been saying your whole life, and then it changes. And my dad was like, I thought he was fucking cool and fun. And then in the hindsight now when you watch it, he goes, no, he was like a bum. I'm like, this guy fucking rules. And he would tell me these stories that are just definitely, it was, so I sit here at 45 sometimes going like, you know what? He probably did get kicked out of the Navy for smoking pot. I don't think it was because he got caught smoking pot with David Bowie on a stoop in France. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's probably not true.
Yeah.
He probably did have an argument with that guy in a drive-through that one time, but I don't think he pulled his door off by the hinges. I was like, my dad was actually pretty good at playing pool. I don't think he beat Minnesota Fats one time in a dark bar he wandered into somewhere. And those are the ones he gave me, and you'd be like, but when I was younger, I was like, Mom, Dad can't show up. He's probably playing in a tournament against Minnesota Fats in pool.
And your mom is like,
She's like, he didn't show up because he'd rather do something else.
Right.
You're like, no.
nah, that can't be it.
He's stuck at the tournament.
They last so long, Ma. You don't get it. It is
He's in
funny
the
how we
finals.
glorify that. We do glorify my dad being in jail a lot when I was a kid. I glorified it. Like it was cool. I used to tell the stories that I would hear from him about getting into a fight with his cellie. Like I thought that was amazing to be able to tell that to somebody.
And you could imagine letting a child down by going to jail for a couple of years. Like, oh, that wouldn't be cool.
Yeah, no.
When you're older, it's like, Dad's in the joint.
Yeah, he can't help it. Beat the shit out of a guard. Try to grab his dick, They do weird shit like
He's
that
gonna
in there,
get more.
man.
Yeah, he's gonna get more. They're probably gonna stack some more time on there because he kicks so much ass.
Hey,
you
bud,
wanted it to be
I
true.
can't get out. I kicked too much ass inside of here. Love ya. It is funny you glorify the tragedy. I seriously was the kid that waited on the stoop and he didn't show up. I was one of those
Me
kids.
too.
Legitimately, like, would be outside and his car never came.
Kurt Metzger would, like, when we first met and I would tell my story, he just always laughed at that, only because he had his own screwy family, Kurt. But he would just get a picture in my head and I would go, you're not wrong. Of me. So my mom was young too. And like, so my grandparents took care of me a lot. So it'd be on their stoop.
Right.
I'd be like,
That sounds right.
outside in Philly, waiting for my dad to come. They were the best. My grandparents. My grandmother just passed away. My grandfather passed away when I was 10, but they were such good fill-in for like what I needed in that regard.
Yeah.
Like what do you call that? Just like some kind of like normalcy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my mom was broken or so like, but they would sit there. They knew he wasn't coming. And I'd be out there, and like Kurt just says, it's like I have everything for a Father's Weekend. It's like a tent on my back, and a Hulkamania finger, and like a Six Flags thing. He's so right. It was almost like, and I remember the game was, it was like a T, the top of the street, and so I'd be on my street, and the cars were either coming from left or right at the top street, and you just see, you see some cars start lighting up, and you're like, this here's probably him,
Yeah.
and then it's like goes by, you're like, okay.
Maybe he got a new car.
And he goes, here it is, this one. And this would never, and then the grandparents come out and be like, it's also hilarious. Like
Your meatloaf's getting cold.
they were also facilitating like the fatness in me though too. Cause it was just like, hey, don't worry, come inside. You want an entire pizza for yourself? And I'm like,
I do.
I do.
It
I'm going to
is-
drown this in pizza.
It is true that image is real of you waiting for someone that didn't show up.
Mhm.
And then you made all sorts of fucking bullshit excuses. You were like,
For them.
I bet you his car broke down because it's broken down before. So I bet you it broke down.
Oh, yeah. Well, my mom would tell me these stories. It's so funny. She's not mad at it. She was just like, you didn't know, but it was like the manipulation of like your parents talking to you in different households.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my mom said one time, we were broke. And she knew that I like felt that in some way that we were broke. But I came when my mom goes, hey, I'm just letting you know this because like I don't want you to hear it in a different way, but I'm going to take your dad, like where I'm going to file things so he has to pay child support. He doesn't pay it. And we got to like garnish his
Garnish wages.
wages.
Yeah.
Gonna garnish his wages on his check. So I just want you to know that so you don't like hear it a different way. It's not a fight. It's not whatever. It's going to make sure he sends what he needs to send. And my mom tells me, and I remember this. She goes, Mom, Dad's got like $1,000 like furniture bill. He's got to pay every. Like I was giving her like, hey, don't do that to him. He's got like an expensive bill to pay. She goes, we eat spaghetti 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
Without sauce, like
Yeah.
butter and Parmesan cheese.
Yeah.
So it's so funny. She's like, why are you protecting this guy?
Right.
Oh, no.
But he's got the furniture bill.
Yeah, he's got this furniture bill
I
going
mean,
on.
you
It's-
know,
He lives
his
in
couches
Ohio.
and stuff. What are you gonna do? He lives in Ohio. Trying to help the guy out, ma. That is
Yeah.
funny.
Did you not love this guy at one time?
Yeah.
Do you need to hurt him like this?
I don't think my mom talked about that. She never asked for it because she refused to, there was such vitriol. Like there was so much,
Yeah, where's those days? Why
it was
does my
so
ex want
much
it so
hate.
bad?
Yeah, it was so much hate.
Because my ex really wants that child support.
She was so much negativity. She refused to ask. She didn't. I think it was also, that's like a pride thing too. My
It's a
mother
ti-
has
I
that.
think it's
like,
a time thing too. It's my ex-wife's like mother never asked the
Never want-
father for anything. Like
Nothing,
my
yeah.
mom like eventually just like garnished his weight. But it was like when you hear the numbers, especially, you're like, damn, man. Like my mom asked, I think it was like $150 or like $200 a month.
That's it.
Something crazy. And it
Jesus
was just
Christ.
nothing.
Yeah, but I mean, that was the other thing. I think my mom used to say like, well, it's too much time. I don't have time to go to court. I have to work a full-time job. So I don't want to go through all that shit. And also, I don't even know what I'm getting. You know, if my dad didn't have, it's not like he was like,
Is it worth anything? Yeah.
it's not like he was like, oh, I'm showing up in a Corvette. You know what I mean? Like, it was in the cut list with cloth seats. So it was like, I think she also knew what was the win situation.
Yeah.
And for her, it was like this ego thing where she's like, well, I'll just do it without you just to like have more, not over you, but have more complete independence, being like, fuck you, I'll drown. And we did.
And as the life goes like on though too, you kind of go, it's like my mom was it all because your mom was a strong woman and your dad was a dump of shit. That guy didn't give a fuck.
That's the name of my next tour. Strong female influence. Dad dump of shit. Yeah, that's the one. Dude, thank you for coming. Please, everyone, right now, because you can go right now when this is out. It'll be out on YouTube. Please go watch the special. I didn't even get into this. Let's do it real fast though.
Mm-hmm.
Why you wanted YouTube? You didn't want to give it to another platform.
No, I mean the reality is I was certain this was going to be on Netflix.
Because you've been in bed with those guys already.
Yeah, I know Robbie. They did The Degenerates. They kind of told me The Degenerates was the path to the hour.
Sure.
And I love Robbie over there. It's nothing. This is no dig on him. I think he was in an unwinnable position. I was supposed to go out there and we're supposed to come out here to LA in April of 2020. And
here we
perform
are.
it for Netflix and HBO Max. I think we're going to come watch. And then of course that got canceled and everything. Yeah. And then just in the time of waiting for all this stuff, what are we going to do next? Me Too, Black Lives Matter happened, and it just kind of came.
Stop Asian Hate. That was a big one for you.
In so many, without saying it outwardly, everyone was just kind of I don't know. You're sort of an unknown, straight white guy. It's just not really the time. We have to make sure we get some quotas in here first.
Yeah.
And so they didn't say no. It was just going to be hey, man, that's going to be pushed down the road and stuff. So I was a little defeated by that. And then Dave Attell was like, why don't you just do it at your festival? And I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. And I was self-produced. And then Ari Shaffir executive produced it. And I mean, he executive produced it. I didn't know anything. When I accepted the idea that I'm all right, I'm going to self-produce this. And I was I guess I got to line up now 150 interviews to get these whatever people crew. I thought I had to personally get a guy holding the microphone,
the gaffer and everything,
and then get all the equipment also,
right.
And do all. And he was Ari just that was our first conversation. He goes, no. He's you hire a producer, and the producer has their team, and they do it. And I go, oh, that's better. I'm yeah, that's better.
I don't have to hold any of the cameras.
Yeah,
dude, we got you.
I don't have to go behind and go are these cords plugged in?
But I think the revolution is here with that, and I think it's the reason I ask. It's not in a negative way. It's a great move because everyone that's doing it now, it's proving that it's direct to not only just your audience, but it's opening up to them sharing it easily without any sort of hiccup. It's simple. Everybody knows it now. It's there's
a flood right now of it too, but that's sort of the thing. It's sort of a useless platform, and if you have nothing, there's no way to attach it to anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have a bit of an audience, so it's I'm trusting my audience to really shoot it out there and
spread.
Get it to
well,
more
they
people.
will.
Which the thing, the people are just just did it, record it, throw it up on YouTube. I don't know if it's a good idea.
Right. You have to
also because seeing the numbers is why I don't know if 8 people saw my Comedy Central special or if 2,000 people saw The Degenerates. I have no idea. This is going to be hard to
It's definitive,
but it's also going to be hard to go back every day. Goes. Only 4 more people in the last hour, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess this thing sucks.
But don't dry yourself nuts because it's just because it's going to be good because you look at some of the other people in our world that Ari's. I went and saw the taping of. I was at that Jew, which I yelled so many times during the show. He had to cut out. But him and Shane. I mean, these guys that are getting millions and millions of views. It was proof that it was nah, just cultivate it and let the audience have it. You know, let your fans do the thing. Let people that know comedy and love comedy get involved through the system and the algorithm. And I think it's great because honestly, the unknown sucked. When I did the Comedy Central stuff, it sucked, and you never knew. Netflix was the only time I did this special that they give you the number, they call you, and they do a 15-day and a 28-day breakdown or whatever. And it's nice to know, but you don't get much. They give you a nugget of,
and there's no engagement.
Nothing.
What's kind of neat about YouTube too is there's immediate engagement happening under the video.
It's happening live.
That's awesome.
And it's happening kind of it's incestuously might not be the right word, but it is inside of itself.
Yeah.
The engagement of people talking about it to other people and then using it for other stuff. It's really wild how the world works like that.
I'm
On YouTube,
excited
it's
to see
good.
it. I'm excited.
I'm excited for you, dude. Go watch it right now on YouTube. Please go watch it. Also, if you're on tour, are you touring around a little bit right now?
Yeah.
What's your website?
BigJComedy.com for all my dates. Yeah, I'm nonstop on the road.
Go
So
to
for City Radio.
bigjcomedy.com but watch the YouTube special right now. We'll also put it in the link in the description below so you can see it. We end the episode the same way. Look in that camera right there. You say one word or one phrase to end the episode for the rest of the time. When you're ready, one word or one phrase. Go ahead.
Come.
In here, we pour whiskey, 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 whiskey.
You were that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.
You owe me $5 for the whiskey and $75 for the horse.
Gingers? Oh, hell no.
This whiskey is excellent.
Ginger. I like gingers.